All right. Good morning, everyone. Today I have a group of special people on, and we're going to test this out. And we're going to have a group session and kind of chat about some interesting things that we're doing. But today, welcome. We have Hugo Alonso from Stay Winning Podcast. We have Sierra Smith from Sun Peak Official, Kevin Rappert, Self Storage Ventures, and Joel Farrell from Stair Step Method and Strive for 25 podcast. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so let's get started. We've all kind of come in connection through social media and everything. And I think a lot of us have noticed that our lives have changed, these past 5 years and maybe the circles that we hang around with. So let's kind of talk about that and kind of, talk about how things have changed for us, in the past 5 years. So, Joe, why don't you get started? Or
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the mortgage industry since 2006, and this job, it's crazy. It's a nonstop. We're working on weekends. We're working at night, taking phone calls, and it's not like a insurance business or a financial advisor business where you have a residual. We're constantly having to add value and serve and bring deals in. And so my circles have just shrunk just naturally as time has gone on. I got a nod, just turned 40 this year, so I've got a family and twin boys that are 4 years old. So my network has shrunk just really far. However, in the last 15 months, it's kind of gone the opposite way because of social media. Social media knocking down doors, people from all over the country, crossing state lines, finding your tribe, something that Mark and I have talked about, finding your own tribe. People that are marching and rowing in the same direction has just been something that's been pretty important to me to be able to find people that are like-minded and going in the same way.
Yeah, I love it when you say find your tribe. And that's kind of what this is, where we're starting. And that's kind of how I've met, like, Hugo, Sierra, Kevin. And so I love it. And so, like, Hugo, how did we meet? Like, how did we really connect at first?
If I recall correctly, it was just through a Twitter post or an X post and just engaging from there and following like-minded people that are hungry to strive for success.
Yeah, was it something that I don't know? I think I reached out to you, right? Or I mean, I kind of commented on something you posted, I believe.
Yeah, I think you reached out first.
Yeah, and then now Sierra's following you. You and Sierra connected, and you guys are both going to be at FinCon, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So
That's
happy to
right.
support
Yeah.
Sierra's content as well.
Yeah, and then now Kevin, me and him have this firefighting background, and that's how we kind of maybe touched base, and then we realized we have a lot of other common things and interests, fantasy football, real estate investing, but we also have kind of different views on maybe our firefighting career that we're looking at right now. But yeah, Kevin, so what have you seen, as far as your circle in the past maybe 5 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, I think I became a dad in the last 5 years, so we have a 3.5 and a 1.5 year old. So personally, my circle has been formed with a bunch of other dads as well, just as a support group. I actually joined a really cool group called Front Row Dads, and it's all about being a family man with a business as opposed to a businessman with a family, and just kind of reframing that mindset, which has been super beneficial for me. I think prior to that group, that was the first group or mastermind community that I ever joined. I used to kind of look down on it. I was like, oh, what are these masterminds and communities for? Are they really helping? People are just paying money. Someone's getting rich. But now that I've joined that group and been able to fit into very like-minded people, that's actually how I got involved in storage. Is I met somebody in that Front Row Dads group, and he kind of walked me through what self-storage was and how I could get into that market. And, I followed suit there. So it's just open doors. And I think I'm really focused now on having a, community, a tribe, like you said, Hugo, of like-minded people that are hungry, that have, a vision for success, but not just on a business level, but more on a personal level as well.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, does anyone kind of have like an experience as far as like for me, I really feel like I was just headed down this certain path, people that I went to high school with, I grew up with, and we were all doing the same things, hanging out, partying still yet, having fun. And it took a lot of things to happen where I just saw the world differently, basically. And I realized, how risky I was being, and it just changed my view on things. But I can see how it's hard to break free from that. Like, me and Hugo talked about recently about kind of a bucket of crabs, right? And one crab is trying to get out of the bucket, and the rest of the crabs are kind of pulling at it and pulling it down and keeping it from getting out. But has anyone else had that kind of experience?
I mean, I think for me, I definitely had a different group. As a younger person, I was still hungry and motivated, but I definitely I didn't look at things the same way I'm looking at it now. I think becoming a dad, obviously getting married before that has definitely changed my viewpoint. And I think I've become better at saying no to things and to people. And I think that's been super beneficial in my trajectory, is being able to say, no, that doesn't fit in with my priority or doesn't align with my vision. So I'm not gonna do that. Or whatever the case may be, I'm going to put that aside and really stay true to kind of my vision of success.
So I hear you kind of bringing up like, other parents or other fathers a lot. So I know Sierra has a kid, Joe has kids. So Hugo, right, currently you don't have any children. Do you see it as that's going to be something that's going to change for you down the road, that's going to maybe make it maybe harder for you to stay on the path that you're trying to end up at?
So the first part of the question, do I see myself having kids? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah. Do you see yourself having kids, and do you think that's going to change maybe your outlook on things or change kind of the circle that you hang around with?
My circle's like a line right now. Uh, I'm more like a lone wolf, honestly. I do see myself having kids down the line. And my whole brand is about building the nest first and becoming the best version of yourself, whether it's financially or career wise or personally or health wise. I do see myself having kids after 2026 so I can watch the World Cup freely and be able to, take the red eye to the next soccer game uh, more easily. So that's my time frame. And then I do have goals that I want to accomplish. But I think when I have kids, they definitely deserve the best of me and my time. So I'm still in the building stage where I need to get a few things out of the way first and have that money keep working for me to free up my time even more. I mean, you know how hard it is to get on a call with you, Mark, figure it out, make
Oh
some
yeah.
sacrifices. Um, so I feel like by that time, because I got to be realistic too, right? Like with baby windows and things like that. So, but as far as my circle changing, I live in a really nice family community with a really great school district. I mean, everyone's out there walking their dog and jogging in the morning, and every kid is out riding their bike. And it is a beautiful sight to see how a kid can still be out there in this day and age and be so safe. I live in the fourth safest city in California. So when I see that every day and see how happy they are, to go spend their little $2 at Del Taco, like I'm like, okay, I'm already at the right place. So if it happens, I'm not gonna be scared or run away from it. I'm gonna keep stepping up like everything else in my life. Um, but that's my perspective on it. So I'm not against kids. I'm definitely in the right place and time in case it does happen. I already know now that if it does happen, they're gonna have a better life than the life I had. Right? I already have, like what we talked about, Mark. I already have a spare bedroom and a spare bed that's already set up for them in case it does happen. So that's where I'm at. Um, so I guess it's a little different from everyone else on the panel. So congratulations to your twin boys and your marriage and Sarah's guys. I think that's awesome for you guys to be here and still wear the hat of a parent as well.
Well, Hugo, I have a question for you. So, like, for me personally, I look back at the last 10 years or so and working, Tim Grover, the book winning talks about, when you're grinding, at some point you're going to have dust left over. You got to be forming something. And so, I've been building this mortgage business and kind of building something unique. And you mentioned lone wolf. Like, I feel like I'm a lone wolf because my business that I do in the mortgage industry, I'm licensed in 23 states. Like, I'm dealing with clients on the East Coast, Florida, Texas, and I'm in Missouri.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's just not the norm in our industry to be like having the kind of a wider scope of geography. So everything I've been doing is kind of outside the box. And so
Yeah.
like I've had to really put myself into situations of having, coaches and mentors and people around me to be able to keep pushing me, because it's easy to get stuck in your own little
I think
lane
my internet
and think you're
filter.
doing stuff. But then like, what I'm not sure if anybody likes the NBA or knows who Anthony Edwards is with the Timberwolves, but he's a great player, young, athletic, and he was on the USA team this past summer doing whatever games they were doing. I don't even know. But Steve Kerr was the coach, and Steve Kerr coaches with Steve Kerr or Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And Steph Curry, obviously a great shooter, but he's a workaholic in the gym. He just doesn't stop, perfecting his craft. And Anthony was on air talking about how he became a madman at the gym, went to a different level because Steve Kerr called him out in practice. He wasn't practicing hard enough. And he's like, yeah, you wouldn't even be a first round pick on our team, all this stuff. And it's like, oh, like here's this like top elite all-star on the Olympic team getting called out for not taking his game to the next level. It's like, we have these gears that we can get to. Sometimes we need help to pull it out of ourselves. We think we're doing enough, but there's more in there. And that's the part that, like, having kids for me, somehow, some way, like there's finite amount of times. Like if I want to be able to get to where I want to go, like I gotta use this time in the morning or nighttime to really maximize. And it's like, I know me personally, like I value that time even more because there's so much, it's so limited, but I didn't have that same perspective, 5 years ago.
Well, you know that Hugo's more of a soccer fan, right, Joel? And you just had a guest on your podcast, right?
I did. I did.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar, Hugo, but he had a pro soccer player on his podcast channel recently.
Yeah. His name's Samuel Adeniran. He plays for the St. Louis City team here in St. Louis. So he's
Oh,
a
nice.
real estate guy. He's got a clothing brand, and he's young, 23 maybe, something like that. He's just doing things. I don't think he even realizes how big of a badass he is at this point. Because like, you fast forward the clock 5 years, 10 years, like all the things he's doing is just going to continue to compound and just skyrocket.
Yeah, and that team is doing really good. I think they're first on the Western Conference. And
Yeah.
I apologize if I missed something earlier. My internet connection broke up a little bit.
Well, I think
So,
to
oh yeah,
speak to
go
what,
ahead.
yeah, to speak to what Joel was saying, like, I think a lot of people do use, or a lot of parents can find that next level, when they have kids, and a lot of people, their motivation is, for their kids, and even what Hugo's saying, like his motivation to build the nest first is to, is to kind of honor the life of that his kids could have. So I think that I feel like there's a misconception out there where people are like, well, don't pass your wealth on to your kids though. Like you want them to grind it out for themselves. But then like so many parents, use their kids to make the positive changes in their lives. So I think there's like a fine line between like do it for your kids, but then also model the path and not just have the handouts. But I think for us, it's been really important to bring our son with us in all of our endeavors that we're doing so that he can see the process that we go through and the conversations that have to be had. And it's been fun, like walking properties with him, and agents will say like, oh, he's like a little version of you. Like he acts like a little adult versus like acting like kids his age. So it is kind of like a different, it's just a different like lifestyle, even with kids, I think, as like entrepreneurs or people who are taking like financial freedom seriously, to it's just a different lifestyle than what I think a lot of parents with kids who are just like good with their W-2 job and have them and just want to provide. I don't know. I think that the incorporation of the kids into our lifestyle has been really beneficial to even like motivate us to like level up and see what else we can do.
Hey, Kevin, something that I noticed that I kind of worry about, because like, talking about our children and whatnot and passing things down to them. But like for me, us having firefighter schedules, that we have a lot of off days. I also worry like my son's gonna see how much time I have off, and he's gonna think like this is the way life is supposed to be, right? You have this flexible, I mean, this set schedule, but you have all these days off, and I'm always worried that he's gonna, like he doesn't see what I'm doing when he's at school, right? Like I'm sure same thing for you. Like when the kid is taking a nap or whatnot, you're putting in this grind, and that's what I worry about is that my son's not going to see this extra work that I'm doing, when he's at school and whatnot, but he just notices that I have all this time off. Do you kind of worry about that?
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying there, and we do have a unique schedule. Every station department's a little different. We do 2 days on, so I'm gone for 48 hours, and then I'm home for 4 days. And there's plenty of people that I work with that are completely, that works for them, and they're content with that, and they're home for 4 days, and they just hang out for 4 days. And I do think there's something to be said about having your children see you working hard, because then they're going to want to emulate that. I think there's something to be said about even just bringing them to the fire station so they can see, hey, this is what we do when we're gone, and this is how we help people. But then I think on those days that I'm home as well, I mean, my kids are young, but I still, the 3.5-year-old, like I talk to him about it. So maybe he's not seeing me because maybe it's during a nap or maybe it's when he's in preschool. But I still talk to him about like why I'm doing what I do. Like I try and be present in whatever moment I'm in, and this is a ongoing challenge for me. But if I'm in, work mode and I need a couple hours in the office at home, like I explain to him why, what I'm going to be doing, and then I'm trying to be completely present in that work. And then when I come out, I put the phone down and I try and be completely present as a parent. And it just, there's seasons, right? Sometimes it's more work, sometimes there's more free time. But whatever I do, I try and be present, and I try to explain why I'm doing some of the things that maybe he's not seeing me do behind the scenes. So at least he has an idea of why I'm doing it and what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that's the important thing, having our kids see, what we're doing and how we're helping people and helping the community. Another thing I want to kind of touch on is kind of, has any one of you maybe seen, like the circle that you used to hang around with, 5 years ago? Were you able to pull anyone from that circle to what you're doing now or the circle that you're in now?
No.
No.
Why is that, you think? I'm the same way. Like it's a challenge to have anyone head down this path with me.
I don't know. I think they have to want it for themselves, It's not something that you can easily convince people to chase if they don't have the desire to do so themselves, or at least a desire for yeah. I don't know if it, I guess it depends if they're, after financial freedom or not, but or time freedom or whatever it is they're looking for. But if they don't have that desire, there's really no even amount of inspiration that would, I think, trigger the change to like have someone get on that journey.
True. That's why I'd rather just be alone.
The lone wolf. Actually, I saw something. There's like a Marvel character. That's gonna be your superhero character now. There's the lone wolf, I believe.
Oh, really?
He's like Black Panther's um enemy or something. But there's a Marvel character called the Lone Wolf. So I think maybe that's gonna be your superhero
Yeah, I
character
should
I'm
get
gonna
that.
use. Yeah. But Joel, hey, Joel, I want to ask you too, because you're in the mortgage industry, and mortgage applications are down right now. Do you see anyone in your circle or your field kind of now maybe picking your brain more for like side hustles and trying to reach financial freedom?
Yeah, like as you were asking the question about your circles, that was the first thing that was going through my brain is that like, I played D3 baseball here in St. Louis, and so I've got a network of people that are in town. I've got a group of friends that I've known for 20 something years from high school and beyond and whatever growing up. And a lot of this group of people are married, have kids, have W-2 jobs, they're doing great, and they're probably going to be able to retire at whatever age down the road, but they haven't really taken that step in terms of building a real estate portfolio. They're doing great in their jobs, they're building up their 401ks or whatever else they're doing. And how do you define kind of marching towards financial freedom? And like I look at myself kind of taking a sidestep on the conversation. It's like I bought my first house in 09, I bought my second one in 2013, and then I bought a couple of 4 families in 2017. And like I'm in the industry, I'm reading books on it. I'd never really had a mentor. I'm just doing it. It wasn't until 2019 I realized like, holy shit, like values are going up. My renters are paying balances down. This could actually be something. I was just doing it because people talk about doing it. I didn't really think I could actually build massive wealth with it or be able to think 30. I wasn't thinking 30 years down the road. Yeah, I was thinking about tomorrow. How's I going to close the next deal? How's I going to, find the next, opportunity to take my, current wife on a date, all these different things. And so like I was in the eye of the storm and I didn't even know what I was doing. It's like if I had been doing a little bit more of that, I could have been further along and maybe able to do more along the way. And I think I compared that with the people that are in my circles. It's like in my on my platforms I talk about if you can buy 4 properties, all primary residences, and just buy the next one as a slight upgrade, turn the old one to a rental. If you could do that 4 times over 10 years, like you're going to set yourself up to be light years ahead of the rest of the people. Because by the time you're 30 years on the road, 60, turn 60, you may have 3 rentals completely paid off. And so if the markets are crashing and other people are pulling money out at all-time lows, you just got cash flow coming in. So, buying the next one and keeping the old one as a rental. Most people, especially in the last 15 years, most people keep that, sell the property and have the proceeds. I think more and more people as time has gone on, as more information has come out about using real estate as a tool to build wealth, more people are holding on to their properties. But most people don't even know where they are in their journey to even know it's possible that, hey, they're actually not even that far away from taking that extra step. And that was the question I was going to ask for Sierra with your business and all the things that you're doing, financial freedom, is it the focus real estate? Is the focus continuing to build the business? Obviously, maybe it's both, but how do you define kind of that march towards financial freedom for your businesses and what you have going on?
So the way I view my businesses, I guess, is those are the things that I love to do, and I would probably do them anyway. And as much as I can accumulate from those while I'm able to enjoy it and have the time for it, and um, is to fund the real estate portfolio that would bring financial freedom later on in life. So that's kind of the way that I'm approaching it, I would say. Because I was thinking about it, like as far as side hustles goes, like I guess you could define a lot of what I do as side hustles, or a lot of people would use them as a side hustle, but for me they are kind of like the primary vehicle in which I earn my income. And I had to have that mindset shift of like, this isn't a side gig for me, like this is what I love to do. And it just because it's not a W-2 job doesn't mean like it's not a real, it's not real work. And so once I kind of like took ownership of this is real business, like I have like I pay taxes on my income. I'm not doing it under the table or just trying to earn like some extra spending money. Like I legitimately use it to save and then fund investing. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But I think you're really onto something there with a lot of people don't realize where they're at in the journey or what like little step they could take to really set themselves up for better success in the future. And I think there is more awareness now around it, but I do think that a lot of people just aren't thinking about planning for their retirement in a way that's still outside the box of that Social Security and their 401k or whatever the standard plan is, like that my parents would have been thinking of as they were heading towards retirement. That those things were going to be enough. And I think inflation has gotten to the point where people realize now that it's going to take a substantial amount more than they'll ever be provided from their retirement plan. And that's where real estate comes in. And I think that, you know, being in the real estate game now is going to hopefully set us up really well to be a resource to those people, you know, in a few years when it really kicks in, like that they might need an alternative source of income or cash flow in the future.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Sarah. I think a lot of people are still under that mindset that their parents have kind of told them, like, hey, look, you get your job, you get a 401k. Maybe if, you know, you're in the fire service like us, you even get pension, which is supposed to even be, you know, even better. You know, maybe you have Social Security come in. But the way we're going, it's not going to be enough to live a life that I think most people are accustomed to currently. And they have to step out from that traditional viewpoint and do something different. It doesn't have to be real estate. It could be something different. I think real estate's an excellent vehicle. It's the vehicle I chose. But I think just getting in that mindset of, hey, that 401k, that pension, that Social Security check, that might not be enough to be able to live a life that I'm currently living or that I want to live upon retirement. So I think that's a great point.
Evan, you know, I've said this probably to 27 people in my network and even on podcast episodes. I referenced Mark and it was something that he said when I was interviewing him a long time ago. Geez. But he used the word risky to basically explain, hey, I'm a firefighter. I've got a pension, which most people think that's great. You're going to be set up for life. But he used the word risky, and that was kind of his vision and purpose in trying to go down in real estate. And I'm like, holy shit, a pension is risky by itself. It is. Yeah. And so like, that's the kind of shift that I've been trying to talk to people about, is like, it may not be enough. And that struggle, that pain that could be down the road. If you're not seeing what's down there, you're going to be, you know, surprised and hit with a rude awakening with that. And speaking of kids, I see you're talking about your son. How old is your son?
He's 6.
He's 6. So he's old enough to really kind of digest it and he kind of vaguely understand.
He's gonna start his own like YouTube channel, I think, soon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he's all about making YouTube videos.
That's awesome. But it's like 15 months ago, having a platform or a podcast never even crossed my mind. Not even did I never think that I could do it, but it just never even crossed my mind to even do. But then the mortgage industry, I saw the writing on the wall back in probably May of 22. I'm like, okay, this is gonna get bad really quick. And you know, this is the worst that I've seen, even compared to 08, 09. We were still doing loans in 08, 09, right? There's just no business right now. And so like, as you talk about AI and technology and jobs, like in 10, 20 years, like, what's the job force going to look like? What kind of jobs are going to be out there as technology and AI take control of more opportunity? There's still going to be tons of jobs, right? But like having your 4-year-old kids, 6-year-olds, 12-year-olds, understanding what it takes to be able to identify a problem, find a solution for it, then go find an audience or go, go find, people that need that solution. Social media, all building an agency, all the things that Sierra's done. And, I'm in the middle of trying to implement $100 million leads for Mosey. Like these things, like I'm doing out of necessity to try to survive. But it's like the kids and this next generation, if they're not learning these things from the parents involved, like they're missing a massive opportunity, because those are the people that are going to be controlling things in 20 years.
Yeah. And I think the job market is shifting even faster and faster. And, even I think I saw a headline yesterday that said, we were told to go to school and learn to code. Like that's been kind of the trend for the last few years, is that like coding, is going to be like the software engineering and the app development and stuff like that is what you need to learn. And then now with AI being able to code, it's kind of like, okay, well, what now? Because like now we're set up to for these coding jobs, but now that's going to be kind of outsourced. And I think you're right, like being able to have the kids learn to identify a problem and think critically and provide solutions and learn how to create value where it otherwise didn't exist is something that's really important. And and networking. I feel like it's so underrated that, and it's said all the time, but I think that has become cliche, but it is about who you know and the connections that you make. And you have to figure out how to do that in a way that isn't just transactional, because I think the relationship has to be there for it to be successful. But yeah, having and modeling that. And I mean, even my son knows, like, oh, like you get on and talk to the firefighter every week, like that's cool. Like he has like some concept of like that's, you're able to do that even though you live across the ocean. So it's pretty cool to be able to model that, and then hopefully have him have the skills to do so in the future.
I stole this from somebody, so I can't take credit, but the phrase was something about ROR will always beat out ROI, and ROR being return on relationship. So it's so tough to quantify at the time. ROI, you can pencil it out. You can figure out exactly what the number is for the return. But when you look at ROR, that's what everybody in business should really be focusing on, because that's where you get your highest returns. It's all about, like you're saying, who you know and who you can network with, and where can that relationship take you. Maybe it doesn't take you anywhere for, I've had people I've met 2 years ago that now I'm just starting to get into business with and do things with. And that's the ROR right there. So I thought that was a unique concept.
That's a great concept. Thanks for sharing.
I love that.
I'm going to steal that.
Take it.
Yeah.
I stole it.
Yeah.
Hugo, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So your podcast, you're however many 30 something episodes in.
Monetized, right? Are you monetized already, YouTube? I mean, Hugo?
On YouTube, I'm 214 hours away.
See, close. Way ahead of me and Joel.
Got to
So
play
my
some
goal
videos
is to
today.
Way
be
ahead.
monetized. That's funny because like I came from FinCon right last year, and they just lit a fire, and I just got to work, and I was like, my goal is to go back to FinCon monetized, which is in about 10 days. So I think
Nice.
I'm gonna make it though. I'll be monetized before I go back.
Awesome. Sorry, Joel, for cutting you off,
Yeah,
man.
what was the question, Joe? I'm sorry.
Well, like I know when I went into this thinking like, okay, I'm gonna go do social media so I can get leads from my mortgage business. Like that's my mindset going into it. And like 3 or 4 months, I'm like, just continue to read, continue to learn, and just trying to, because I started out, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just decided I was gonna do it and just be okay with being shitty and just figure it out. And it's still probably shitty, but it's probably less shitty than it is, originally. But my mindset shifted in like, okay, like this door just opened up because I did that thing, and like the stacking of actions, by like literally, I was in front of somebody and they were asking me what I did, and like blah blah blah, and talking, and oh shit, show me what's your podcast name, and typed it in, like, oh shit, you're 80 episodes in. Oh okay. And like they didn't know if it was shitty or not, but they saw the number.
Yeah.
And like doors have opened that I never imagined. And that's really kind of, as I've look at the biggest impact, is like being able to knock down doors I never even imagined being open. That's kind of how I look at this whole thing for me. For you, have you had a shift in kind of what your mindset was going in versus where you look at it right now?
Yeah, it's a little bit like yours. I had people reach out. So I don't have any guests on my podcast yet. I was a little egotistic, I think.
The lone wolf.
To want to be monetized first before I have a guest on. That way no one says, oh, you got monetized because of me. I guess that was just my own thinking from my upbringing. But yeah, my mindset has shifted a little bit. I always got complimented on the way I speak. And I figured I started this thing. I always like being behind the scenes. So I have a background in film as well. But I was never like an actor. I was always in the back producing and doing production assistant work. So I figured I would do the same thing with podcasting, where could you just be my voice only? And at first it was just to help people out. But people started taking notice out there. And there is people reaching out to me that they want to get on the podcast badly. And I look at who they are and I'm like, oh, wow, this is a door I definitely want to open. And I think Sarah will see it at FinCon as well, and how people want to hop on there and want to provide value to your audience, and also build that connection and networking with you to what you can provide. So for me, I guess the thing that impressed people at FinCon, like I showed up at the real estate meetup And everyone's like, oh yeah, I have 12 doors, I have 15 doors. And I'm over here like, oh, I got 2 doors at the time, right? And they're like, oh, where are they at? California. And I'm like, oh shit, come. Oh, you meet this guy, he's in California. So like that was the cool part about how accepting they were. And the fact that just being from California was like, up here as far as like what they were impressed with. So it was a mutual benefit, but the podcasting has changed where it has opened so many doors and opportunities that I just have not taken advantage of yet because I'm waiting for that number to turn into a dollar sign. And now it's just being able to help more people, network more people, and then have my listeners tap into my network, right? So, for example, someone I met at FinCon was the Frugal Gay. Told me they want to come on to my podcast. You could probably have seen him on X. And I've had a lot of conversations with him outside of podcasting. But that's something that I do want to open up because he's very receptive in helping you out if you want to go to invest in Toledo, Ohio for cash flowing properties. But yeah, it has changed a little bit with wanting to give my audience that networking opportunity as well. Does that answer your question?
80%.
Is there a follow up that I can clarify?
That's okay. I just, yeah, I just think it's so interesting. Doors are there, but you haven't opened them yet. Like that means that you're sticking true to your vision, your goal, your process. And when stuff happens, it happens when it's ready. And like it's pretty badass.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So that speaks to me being a lone wolf and not like, you know, just trying to see how far I can get there myself and bring everyone up, right? So I'm a big believer in filling up my glass first, so I'm able to fill up other people's glass as well.
Are you trying
Thank
to
you.
prove something, or like why? I'm like, my strategy would change as soon as someone knocked on my door who was like, this is a great opportunity. I'd be like, all right, doors open.
Yeah, you're like, well, yeah, 50,000. Yeah, of course, come
Yeah,
on.
no, for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm on track, right? The goal was to be monetized before I go back to FinCon. So I'm 214 hours away. I'm 10 days away. I think I can get 22 hours of viewing time a day before I get back. But then after that, I would like to have everyone on here on and share your story.
I
That's
think
awesome.
I think that's
That's
so
something I,
cool.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just gonna say, I think that about all of us here is that's one thing that I think um is unique, or I guess even like the guest that you were talking about, the Frugal Gay, like we're very much oriented towards trying to help other people in the same way that we're helping ourselves, and very giving in the information, and trying to provide true value versus just trying to grow in a like a arbitrary way so that we have another passive income stream. So I feel like those are the genuine relationships and connections that you want to have. And I know that the Frugal Gay is the same way. I think Mark had him on as well as a guest at one point, and just super helpful.
Sure.
And what I love about his story is, I mean, this is a gentleman who's built a massive portfolio and did it from a movie theater. He was working in a movie theater for however many years. And like, that's the thing is that like, I talk about a client all the time. Like he's built a multi-million-dollar portfolio and he started making he was making $40,000 a year, which is, especially in this environment, not much, but this is probably 8 years ago. Scaled up, got a second job, started stockpiling cash, and then on and started at the bottom. His first property was like 150. And it's like, you don't have to have all the skills and network and money. You can start at the bottom and just don't stop. You don't stop, then anything's possible.
Yeah, very possible. Great story.
Yeah, I love Tom. Tom is awesome, man. He's sort of frugal gay. But I love, Hugo, how you mentioned, you do have a super smooth voice. And I think, that is something that caught my attention. I think I came across your YouTube maybe before I even came across that on X. But yeah, your voice, because you didn't show your face at all for a while, right?
No, I did not. But I figured I have to grow and show my face if I want to grow faster. But yeah, like the first 50 videos on YouTube, no face at all.
Yeah. But I was like, man, who is this guy? Like, I didn't know. And yeah, and then finally, I think you did a video and you showed your face, and I was like, oh, this guy is cool. And I reached out, and yeah, I was super excited that you're willing to hop on, my channel. And like I told you, man, it's probably good practice, right, for you. Nobody watches my stuff, so there's
Yeah,
good for practice, and we had a lot of fun, and I think it's going well. But I'm glad all of you, are willing to do this and hop on when you guys can. And like you're saying, we do sacrifice a lot. Like I'm actually at the station right now. We just got off a call, and I think I finished sweating. I don't know. I can't really tell, but it's kind of last minute setting everything up. But I think this was really fun for our first one, and I hope we can do a lot more of these and maybe get some other people on and see how this dynamics works. But yeah, does anyone else want to finish off on anything, or where you can be reached at, or what you're working on, or anything?
one thing I want to mention, Sierra mentioned earlier how the motivation was children. So I do see that with everyone here. How you mentioned be a dad first and then a businessman second, right? And we're all doing it to some level for our kids. So yeah, even me without kids, my motivation definitely is my future kids, whoever they are. I haven't met them yet, but yeah, I want to agree with Sierra on that is a huge part of my motivation. But yeah, thank you for mentioning earlier how about being a dad first and then a fireman second or a businessman second. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I think we're all, aligned in this is that, and it took me a while to get here. I'm still not fully at the point yet, but it's, if you can understand that the more you give, the more you receive. Uh, I mean, it's just so true. And I think, you guys with the podcast and everything are doing just that. You're trying to give your audience an opportunity, and show them a way that, can help build a better life for them. So I think, just keeping that in your mind at all times, that the more you give, the more you receive. It is so true. And it's tough when you want something and you're out there and you're looking for advice, or you're looking for, someone to pull your hand up. But if you can just constantly give, you'll receive in spades. So it's cool to have everybody on here with that mindset. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun getting to talk every week with Mark and then hopping on here and getting to talk with everyone because you watch the videos, but it feels like so much more of a connection now. And then excited to meet Hugo at FinCon and then whoever else is going to come to the Vegas party for one rental at a time. That'll be fun too. So I'm just excited for making all those connections and like feeling like maybe my circle is like developing versus having that line, like Hugo said.
Joel, do you have anything? Because I have one last question I'm going to
Um,
ask before we end this.
yeah, I mean,
Superhero question, huh?
What
I
is
mean,
that?
Probably a superhero question, huh?
No, it's not. It's actually you'll see. It's
Oh,
Joel.
sorry. Go ahead, Joel.
No, yeah.
I guess the question that I have just for the group, and maybe we table this for a different time. But like, what are the hurdles or problems or struggles that you're seeing with people that are either clients or problems that you're helping your clients solve? Like for me personally, like the biggest limiting factor that I see for people that want to buy a house is, okay, I don't have enough money, which it's obvious. I mean, prices are keeping going up. Closing costs are part of the process as well. And so it's like, okay, get your credit together, put a plan together to be able to save money. And it's like cutting and budgeting is not enough. Like that's not going to get you there. And so that's why, I keep talking about, okay, if you want to be able to get there, you're going to have to figure out how to increase income. And, that's something that like I'm still working on every day, trying to figure out how to get more examples and how to help the next person and show somebody how to get there or point them in the right direction. And so I guess like for you guys, what are the problems or struggles that you're seeing people have, and what's common in your networks or common with people that you work with?
I think for me with my clients, like it's typically they don't know how to use the tools that are available to them. I mean, even if it's just like a Google business profile or setting up, their social media to have reach. And I feel like the mindset is like if they don't have a lot of followers, that they won't have a successful or won't be able to make successful connections. And so a lot of it is working on that front of just getting them set up in a way to truly network where they are going to grow. And, that means they need to be one of the people out there who actually has reviews that can, be searched. I mean, it's really basic stuff typically that I see as far as the hurdles go. And I think a lot of people get stuck on my Instagram needs to have 5,000 followers, or they just get stuck on that, thinking that that's where they should be focused. And it just isn't really helpful as far as business goes to focus on a follower count. And obviously, if you're trying to get monetized, but very few of them are thinking about that as the goal. They're just thinking that, in order to grow their business, they need to have a lot of followers. And that's really just not the case.
I think, my advice to people like more in the investment space is we're at kind of a weird time where, I started in 09 as well. In Tucson, Arizona, deals were all over the place. Money was really hard to find, right? And you kind of go through these cycles where, like, just look at recently the last few years, like money was super easy to find. The deals were really hard to find. Now we're in this cycle where the deals are really hard to find and money is getting harder to find, which is like a double whammy. Because you're competing, you're trying to raise capital and you're competing against people who just put it in a high yield savings for 5%. And they're kind of okay with that at this point. And the expectations between buyers and sellers aren't quite there yet. So the yield spread just isn't there. I think it might get there, but I think you focus on one thing that you can do best. If you have time, you focus on finding the deal, be the deal guy. Because if you have the deal, the money's going to come in. If you have the money, but you don't have the time, we'll focus on teaming up with those people that have the time who can find the deals. So you don't have to do everything. I think, find what works with your lifestyle. If you're pre-kids, if you're single and you have all the time in the world, like start picking up the phone and making cold calls to try and find deals. Send out letters. Doesn't cost a whole lot of money to try and find deals. If time's limited, but you've been able to accumulate some money, go try and partner up with the people that are finding the deals. So that would be my advice. That's kind of the problems that I'm seeing is we're at this weird time where it's like kind of a double whammy of both. Money's kind of hard to find right now, and so are the deals. So pick one and focus on that.
Yeah, for me, very similar to what Joe's been saying. But I still see people, they have the money, but they've been priced out of their market. So I usually suggest to go to a different market, but they don't want to take that risk. And then the other thing I'm seeing is I have a lot of the older Gen Z as an audience. They're not really sticking, and maybe you can correct me here, Joel, since you do mortgage loans. They don't have the 2 years of employment. The younger generation seems to be like, I need to be happy in my job, and they switch jobs. And I'm like, no, you were 4 months away from a mortgage loan. Like, now you have to start over. So they have the down payment, maybe not necessarily for their market anymore, just based on the way things are going. But they still have a down payment for a different market, just not the 2 years of employment that's required. So maybe me and Joe could just talk offline and see if there's anything that I'm missing. So when they do reach out to me with that concern, sure, there might be some other creative options where they don't need that 2 year of employment.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, whenever I'm talking to somebody, they ask me, well, how much money do I need? Like, if I literally know nothing about your situation at all, take your purchase price, times it by 10%. And that's just the ballpark: down payment, closing costs, reserves. Now, if somebody's got a good amount of cash and they want to go buy something like a investor loan or a bank statement loan, you're talking 15-20% down would be minimum. That's just, again, different lane for different day.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right, I think let's wrap this up. But my final question is because Joel said he never heard of this, but we were talking and I said rubbish can last week during our chat. So have any of you heard that before?
Rubbish can?
Yeah.
Like a trash can?
Yes, like a trash can. I said, I'm going to throw it in the rubbish can. And Joel's like, what are you talking about? And I don't know, maybe it's just a Hawaii thing, but we say rubbish can.
Wait, so it's not an expression? Like that's literally what you call the trash can?
Well, I mean, we call it both, but Yeah, we say rubbish can sometimes. Hey, it's thrown in a rubbish can.
I think
No,
that's what they
never
say
heard
in
of it.
Europe.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and some
Those Hawaii
Europeans
people
call
are
it a
weird,
bin,
man.
a trash bin.
All right. Did anybody vote on the thing, Joel? You put it on X, right?
I did. I think there were like 2 votes, and each of them said they did hear it. I
You got
think you
one of
might.
mine.
Yeah, I think Mark has 2 different accounts and he voted twice, probably.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, don't tell
I
my
like
secret.
that,
That's my.
Mark. You're like, oh, my first 5 subscribers and likes are on me.
It is. I have like my iPad, my iPhone, my work phone. Everything is different user. When I released the video, I had like all 5 are watching it at one time.
So if you ever want
That's all right.
to,
I got 2 accounts subscribed to Hugo. So 2
Oh,
of your
thank you. I
there you
appreciate
go.
that.
Hey, what about mine?
I think they're both subscribed to you
What do you
too.
think?
Well, I was helping him out because he was like at 998 or something. And I
Oh,
was
okay.
like, oh, I think I can swing this.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
sweet. Thank you.
so you're gonna wait till I'm at 999 and then be the
Then
1,000.
I'll
So
create
that's your
another
second.
account for you.
Okay, all
Yeah, I
right.
will. I'll do it.
another account called Rubbish Can Man.
Yeah.
Ooh, hey, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, this was fun. I'm glad we did this. I think it's gonna come out great, and we'll try to get together and do it again. But sorry about the setup and everything. It's kind of like I said, I messed up the schedule, and unfortunately, I did have a call to go on, and got back in time and kind of rushed. But I'm sitting on a weight bench right now. I got my mic on a plyo box. I got stuff everywhere. But thank you guys, and we'll do this again.
Yeah, it's nice to meet all of you. Thank you for
Yeah.
your
Thanks for
support.
hosting,
Thanks,
Mark.
guys.
Yeah.
Have a
All right,
great
guys.
day.
See y'all.
Bye.